This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the press in accordance with Wisconsin statutes, so the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. Call to order, roll call.
Brunner,
Here.
Nadowski,
Here.
Rasmussen.
Here.
Second on our agenda would be approved minutes from October 12th, 2015. If there's a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from October 12th.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any citizen appearances? No. Engineer report?
You want me to start on the
Yeah, go ahead.
wastewater treatment plant construction update for contract A15? In your packets, there was a change order for 5 work change directives that have been discussed through the project, and this is change order number 1, so they've assembled all the credits and add-ons for the project. Just real briefly on change order directive number 1 is structure 95 sewer service relocation. What we had on that one is where the sanitary sewer service was going to come out and tie into the new sewer, because we're putting a structure over where the old sewer went. The old sewer went down the driveway. Now we just rerouted it out to the towards the river. There's a sewer line that runs along the road there.
95 is our garage that's out there. That's
Right.
the structure 95.
So what the contractor came up with, based on the way we had it laid out, they proposed a different location for it. We didn't originally go that way because we felt it'd be more restoration and so forth, but they felt it'd be easier digging for them. So they gave us a credit of $1,500 to go that route. Change directive number 2 is structure 95, again, the garage gas line relocation. That gas line was found to be in conflict with the proposed building and the place where they drove all the sheet piling around the outside. So We Energies, when they were digging, they hit it. So then we brought up the idea to relocate it around the structure and not be as close to the structure as what it was. Excuse me, so that's an add-on of $1,500. The future 6-inch raw wastewater activated sludge line, that's the RAS line. What it is the lines that are going to the north of the building. They were constructing all those sewer lines for the building and putting in the lines that we need today. This line is a line for future expansion of the treatment plant. If the treatment plant, we've got room in between the clarifiers and the buildings we're building for future expansion. This is putting in the piping work for that future expansion. Now, the cost to put it in now was $13,000. The cost to put it in the future, when everything is built out, you've only got about
Filled
15
in.
or 20 feet to work in, and you're about 15 feet deep.
Yeah.
So the cost is going to be 5 or 6 times what it is.
Yeah.
And the contractor brought it up. Dean and Patrick went over it and looked at the cost benefits of doing it now versus later. It's an empty pipe, but it's going to need to be
Right.
used for future expansion. So
Smart.
rather than having to dig everything up and dig around all those utilities again, it was cost effective to do that. Clear stone under structure 12 and structure 65. I think they felt that when they went under the foundation that they changed the amount of stone to be put underneath the foundation.
And
Is
it's
that-
with
is
the
it-
clear stone as opposed to that gravelly.
Road gravel.
Yeah.
Yep.
They had a reduction in only using
Clear
the
stone.
one material. Yeah.
And then they made some underground storage tank footing modifications to the structures due to the soils. So that was an add of $1,690. So for a total change order increase of $10,000.
And on this one, so it comes in about 10,200. Now, when we awarded the projects, we talked about what should be a limit for costs to keep things moving. Things that pop up that we don't wait a month or call a special meeting for. And what we talked about was that amount of, it was like $10,000
Yeah.
to keep things moving. In this case, with the net being 10,200, it's a little bit over. But you see my signature on here because these are things that we did.
Yep.
Like Thad said, the big addition that brings it up that high is adding in those future lines for 13,000 as opposed to, he said
Those
5
were-
times that.
Yeah.
So this is a change order it's approved by me and the work, I believe, this work's been done. And so it's more a ceremonial approval by you guys, but it's also as part of the pay request.
Right.
So I mean, you still have the ability to not pay it, or, you know, vote to not approve the payment, but, you know, these are the things that fell. I apologize, it went $200 over 10,000, but in general,
I think
the
we were
spirit of
open-ended on what we
what
had said anyways.
what you look
'cause we were
for.
just looking for a number to put on it.
But again, these are,
Right.
as you evaluate each individual item, they were all less than 10 except for that RAS line. And that RAS line they were working on for the last month to get it ironed out on costs. And Patrick's been working with Dean to talk with the contractor.
even that cost came down. It
Substantially.
was like 25,000, I think, at first, and they were able to get that cost down.
The one question I have is just with that future line, so it tells me that we probably didn't have everything set up for the addition in the future or growth in the future. I know that was in the plans, but maybe we're not doing all the things. So is there any other items that can be done now to save money later type things that I guess would be smart to do now while they're working on it?
And I hate to have this come out the wrong way, but we could build the plant a lot bigger and maybe save money. But the problem we ran into with the best info we had from the very large customer we have in town, you know, we had bid this out 2 years ago, and they
Yep.
kind of put the brakes on it. And then they said, well, rebid the same thing. But now that we've been into this, it looks like we're probably going to fill this expansion up by next summer. And it's supposed to open like in April. So there's some things we could do, like I said, jokingly,
Yeah, I'm just
halfway
curious if there's
jokingly,
any
we could just
setup
build the
items,
plant bigger,
height
but
type things or
this
anything like
is
that.
really about it, because we were already digging in the same area we'd have to
Okay.
dig in the
Right.
future.
Yep.
But you know what we're really looking at is just adding future tanks if we do the next.
And a blower, and we've already made
Expansion.
accommodations for a third blower if needed.
Oh,
But that's only
okay.
based on considerable expansion.
Yeah. So I mean, we're
Okay.
leaving an open area for these tanks. This here is we were already
That
digging
allows us to
through.
hook in there, so therefore we're covered.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it's something that it's very likely that we'd have to put that in anyway. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Sounds good. All right.
So you need a motion on that?
Yep. Need to, let me see here, get up to the page here. So I'll make a motion to approve change order number 1 on contract A15 for the amount of 10,200 and change.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I have a paper, all this
Yes.
in the packet is not coming up.
yep,
Next item is the
that's the next item then too.
pay request number 5 from Myron Construction. Apologize for getting that to you today. Myron sent it over late last week. We reviewed it, sent back with corrections, and the guy was out of the office and didn't get it to accounting till this morning. But we've talked to him about improving that to get it out early enough so you get it. Patrick gets it in the pack with everything else.
We put the email in there that I got from
Yep.
Dean, so it wasn't
Yeah.
it's not a Cedar issue. It's
Yep.
Yeah.
yep.
So the amounts listed. If you have any questions on any of the items that we're paying for, I can try and answer them.
Yeah,
They do have their lien waiver, general lien waiver, saying they've paid everybody from the last pay request. And then we also secure individual lien waivers and just keep them in our office for payment.
Now, did they send in? Because I think on Dean's email today, he had said, you know, last month when we did some conditioning or we did contingencies on some of these payments to make sure they got the lien waivers in.
They should have those before it goes to council.
Okay, but I think your recommendation here would be recommend approval contingent on receiving all of the
Yes.
appropriate lien waivers, and I'm just checking Dean's email. Yep, so make it contingent on receiving those partial
Okay.
lien waivers. And again, so the amount is $493,278.41.
All right.
Okay,
We need a motion then to,
Yeah. Make a motion to approve pay request number 5 on contract A15 to Myron for a total of $493,287 or $78.41.
with the contingency.
And a contingency that we receive all their lien
Waivers.
waivers.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
The next item was the municipal building parking lot reconstruction, letter of authorization.
So we don't have a letter of authorization, because a
Do they
lot of the
have
work's
copies of
been
these?
done. I don't think they have a
No,
copy
there
of this,
isn't.
but we could sit it in the middle, and take a look at it.
There's one for each.
In general, when we were looking at the site plan for the city hall, the plan commission and the city council had looked at what this parking lot will look like, and in concept, approved the site with this type of an upgrade to the parking lot in the back.
Okay.
Now, we've done the storm sewer, we did the storm sewer, that's what we dug up the parking lot this year for. What we're looking at is having that grassy curbed area in the middle, put some green space in there because there is no green space on that side behind the buildings. The one thing that I would add is, in addition to the potential for trees and then electricity hookups for events or whatever, one thing I would add is that there are some unknowns right now on the eastern edge and the western edge. And there's, on the east, there's a potential, where our garage is, somebody may be making a proposal to, I don't wanna say buy our garage, but maybe use that space. And if that's the case, within the next month, we'll probably have a good idea whether or not that would actually happen. But that would impact what the eastern edge looks like of the parking lot. And then on the western edge, we've been talking to First National Bank, because you can see when they did their parking lot, they left the open gravelled areas because it looked like what they wanted to do was a curbing, nicer area there. One of the things we're talking with them about is maybe making this a consistent parking surface. I don't know that we need to buy their lot or anything, but maybe we can do some things
We got
where,
a deal where we tie them together and keep it uniform.
yeah. Yeah, and then one of the things that we talked about with them is when you look where the green space is behind the building, there's the dashed shadowed space. That's where there's gravel between the two parking lots. And that's actually our community room with the kitchen, and we will need to purchase probably a chunk of that land just so that we own behind our building. We've talked to First National Bank. They've been receptive to it, but we've been talking to them about that in conjunction with this parking lot. One of the things they brought up was, because of their drive-through there, they would want to make sure that there's like a curb so that people don't just drive through the parking lot and end up in their drive-through, that they can at least keep some kind of a protected open area.
Why do you feel like you need to combine them? To make it one big,
Well, I think, so you have all that gravel in between, and it doesn't look very good,
but
for
that
one.
could be a green space?
It could, but I think what we need to do is not so much look at combining, but look at what's that transition. Is it going to be paved, or do we curb it up?
Yeah.
Well, the green space thing would,
Yeah, see, we added green space along the back of curb. We added a sidewalk area for people to walk through the
yeah,
site, then we added that green space in the middle.
yeah.
And we also have electric conduits stubbed out to the western end of the the curbed area for electrical outlets. If you run a farmer's market back there, if you run
Sure.
any type of festivals back there, you have capability of doing that. This is gonna be a curbed area. We also talked about, and Patrick will get into a little bit more, is that can be a mountable curb where you can drive over it. It can be where you can plow over it too, push the snow into the middle.
Oh,
Or you can have a barrier curb where they can't go over it with a car. Those are different things that we want to talk about design wise. We've got this laid out based on this layout at about 80% complete. All we have left is a grading. But if there's going to be any changes, we need to incorporate those, and if we're going to try and match in with the parking lot to the west.
So,
But now right there, the way their parking lot's set up is this way, correct?
yes. Yeah, they park,
They park east to west.
they do,
Yep.
and that's what he's saying, because we would park north to south here.
I don't see, I would not like to see those two combined for any reason. People always take the path of least resistance, cutting through, you see it in all the bank, and drive-throughs, and people are they're thinking about getting money or depositing money, and, you know, they're thinking, I got it right away, this is the bank.
Well, I don't know.
Someone
That
just cuts
I don't know if
through.
he was talking about combining them so much as just maybe having a common theme.
Right, but
Right.
at one time,
Yeah, well, it's open to whatever you'd like
you're
to
saying
do.
if you made it one large, but I would, yeah, if that was the case, no.
mean, I-
Green space to me just seems to make sense.
I guess
Something
if you made it
attractive.
one large one, as long as you broke it up so that way there isn't that cross traffic besides maybe going into the drive-through. I don't think
Right,
that
you
would be
can't-
bad
you just
because
can't
you'd
have
have
any
you'd have the median in there or whatever to break up from anybody being silly. I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what the bank had asked for, is if the proposal would be that we try
Yeah,
to pave it all
almost
to
like
make
have
it
a
look
lane-
the same,
a lane
they would
that
wanna
goes
have
right in
some
there.
curbing that restricts people from being able to drive wherever.
Yeah, okay.
One of the other concerns that's popped up just in talking with people in town about what this is gonna look like is, and I don't know how big of a deal it is, but it's at least something to talk about. You look at these parking spots with the green curbed area in between, and when you look at how it sits today, just look at those two rows in the middle. The bottom row faces north and south. This top row sort of angles a little bit,
Right.
but the concern is if somebody has a boat or they're towing some kind of trailer, right now they just pull in and take up two spaces. And again, I don't know how big of a deal this is, but the way this is potentially laid out, there are no open spots for people to legally park a trailer or a boat or whatever.
They don't, that's what you have the street for, and it's a long, empty street with residential
Yep.
with a lot of spots.
And like I said,
Except
just
when the
passing on to
auctions
one
don't.
We do have
concern we've
curbs
had
on
too.
both sides.
Yeah, you can see an auction going on and somebody deciding to pull up and
The auction
a
too.
boat and a trailer in the parking lot, and everybody's like, what? What's with this?
I don't think
Yeah,
there's many
just-
trailers in the parking lot though for the auctions. They usually do.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
someone
they're all
comes
on
in
the
with a
road.
boat and says, well, I'll park, no. I
Or a
keep
boat, you
that.
know, they're coming
They
downtown to
can
eat
go on
or
a street or walk on the
whatever.
block if they gotta.
Yeah. So the question is going to be, what does this transition on the west look like? Because right now where it's kind of shaded, it's gravel, and that's not, we should do something better to finish it than that. And so then the question is, if we're looking at curb and gutter, it looks like the bank was gonna curb and sort of gutter that out a little bit, but they never finished it.
Okay, the entrance to the, I don't see a door there at the back. I remember all the different options we
So where
had
the green
of
is?
designing.
There's a
Well-
sidewalk in the back there. It hugs the green
That-
space against the building.
Yeah,
That's the
that
sidewalk
is
coming
the
out
only
back there.
entrance, isn't it, into the
There's
building?
there's
At
one on the
point
other
we
side,
thought
too.
we had one going into the back of the
Yeah, there's a hallway.
community.
There's a hallway
There is
that
one.
goes into that kitchen.
Now this,
There's
so you
one in
look,
the shaded area right now that goes into that.
this
community.
building
Point
layout,
point
this
to-
layout is from January of 2015, and this
Right.
has changed.
Yeah, that's
so
what I'm
the-
saying.
But there is a door.
Yeah, you can see it
Out
on
the
this other
back.
one. In this other drawing here, you can see the doors.
And that's what I'm getting at, that, I would say get the people from their parking spot onto a sidewalk area, whether it's raised with a curb or something, and guide them into that back entranceway instead of going through parking lot. I mean, everybody's used to parking lot, I suppose, but just a thought, if
You're thinking
you wanted to make it a more
Curb and-
attractive looking, sidewalk in
that
this
hugs
area
the
here,
property line then?
you know, you could go,
You're talking
you
about.
know, right here. If this, since you got a door here, why not make this
A
a
raised,
sidewalk, make it curved a little better and raised.
okay, that's.
The yellow
I know where you're
lines
going
around the
with that.
perimeter,
Yeah.
and people, they're not walking through the parking lot. Although path least resistance, there again, people are just gonna go like that anyway, so. That's really,
But
that's really not gonna,
I guess looking at this one, yeah, there is a door there, so I mean, it'd be nice if there's sidewalk all the way to that door.
well, at least from that last little leg of it,
The
but
main, that door though, for the most part, is probably going to be locked. Because what we're trying to do is push,
that's not
but
an
people coming out of it would be able to, there'd be like a crash bar or whatever it is to come out.
Yeah.
But the main, what we're trying to do is get people into that main area.
Well, and like,
But I mean, they
but
could
you
both
can,
be
you can
open.
do that with the doors though. So in other words, if you have a glass door here that looks more inviting, and then just a steel door here, that
And
basically
I think
does
that's
that
exactly
for
what
it.
we've got.
But
okay.
I'm just saying, because if people do use it, it'd be nice to have at least a
So
sidewalk.
there's gonna be
there.
somewhat of a sidewalk in that shaded area, but, you know, that's
There's
gotta
going to be
because there's a
something
door,
outside the
something.
door. And that's where when we talk about having to buy or acquire a piece of land, right now we have a door that goes out into land that we wouldn't own. So that's why we're talking to the bank about taking that over.
Yeah.
We have like a maintenance easement there, but that's not, you
Well,
can't go
could-
build a porch
You know,
or
without
anything.
getting too much detail, you know, you'd have your normal sidewalk or landing, whatever you wanna call it, coming out of this door. This little triangle could be some kind of a raised plan or something for
Yeah.
green space, just, make you feel like there's a barrier between the bank,
Yeah.
just something to,
It defines the separation of the two.
well, that too, and you
Properties.
don't need a sidewalk way over there unless you wanna say, here's your smoking spot in the corner over here in the triangle, but you know what I'm saying there. And it could be something like that, if people wanted to go out, there's a little planter, a little cigarette, container if that's, but yeah.
So
anyway,
that's probably, this is a good discussion we're having. I guess the main question would be, what does the transition look like? Is it curbed? If you want to have any kind of a pedestrian traffic there, you're going to want to curb it up and bring it up, because otherwise if it's just a flat sidewalk, people are going to go drive over it anyway. It's not, you
Right,
don't really want
and
you're
that.
so
gonna
it-
need
like
wheelchair
not
ramp
a,
access to it as well,
Yeah.
to get onto it. And it'd have to be wide for handicap
I don't know, I
accessibility
guess-
too.
I would be more towards seeing if the bank wanted to work and just make it a whole parking lot. Cause then at least it's uniform all the way across.
Well, I would leave the 27-foot entrance in and out.
Our area, you mean?
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
leave that, and then if the bank wants to do anything, we just mirror an island that way. And because you want the cops to be able to go right in the
Yep.
garage.
Yep.
Instead
Yeah,
of
and
having
we
to
just
go
have to
around.
have something that would go straight into or guide people into the,
so you do want
Drive-through.
the dark gray, new parking lot to have that straight feel, nothing to where people know they're not gonna be able to go east and west except to get out of the main entrances. Nothing that where they would cut through the bank parking lot. Right? Cause I keep hearing say, make it one big parking lot. I keep hearing that said, and maybe I'm not hearing what you're really saying.
I
You
hear
don't-
I hear both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause what you said
Either way.
about the police vehicle, and someone's flying out around here, he's coming in because they think I'm gonna cut through, if
Right.
that's what I'm hearing. Well, that just doesn't make any sense.
Thad, what do the engineers say about proper traffic flow from an engineering standpoint for the two businesses? What's your take on it?
Well, I was, first of all, on that corner, if you look at the second sheet, we show a handicap parking stall. We had to show one somewhere in the area closer to the building. So that's on that angle point piece.
okay.
So that's a parking area that if people come through the drive up, now do they come through the drive up this way?
Yeah, they come from
They
anywhere
come
in
from
there.
different
That's the way they go.
But they come
That's
in,
the way they go.
All
in
I
the
know is I
drive-thru.
always have to drive over that gravel area to swing it right for my van.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just seems,
So by them going in, by that motion of the drive, I was thinking if they come in the other direction, then they're gonna come out and they're just gonna cut across parking lot wherever they wanna go. But now that the drive-through comes up and swings out towards Mill Street.
right.
So that's good. I mean, you could come out with a half area, of a island with some green space, and then leave the opening here, and then put in a parking like this, and then just mirror this parking,
I
just
just think
flip
that
it
would
over
look,
here.
that would look nice on the
Mirror
whole backside of the
the
building.
lower section.
Just take this and flip it over, and
Yeah.
then if they got the drive-through people come in, they've got a drive lane here that they come in, they just circle around and go out. And then you've got all your parking.
So that would provide traffic flow, traffic control.
Well, I think if you have that medium across too, the only way they can go really is straight. You can't get squirrely and start, doing donuts or something like that. I don't know if that's what.
I
it
just
is.
don't know why you'd wanna combine two separate businesses with the public and then the bank's property, unless they don't mind that.
Well, the reason why I was thinking is just because this area here, as it is, one just looks kind of.
Well, that's where
Trashy.
everybody wants more green. Look how nice it looks on a piece of paper. I just think this is an important channel not to have people crisscrossing.
Well, that's what I'm saying though, because if you have this starting right there,
Okay, but if this is open, people pull off quick, there's all kinds of sizes of vehicle, they're gonna go, and they got their eye on the path, least I don't wanna turn here, I'm gonna go straight. There's people coming this way, it's just, they know otherwise that they have to slow down and watch to come these two directions. Instead of just saying, I'm in a hurry, and you pull out, and the cop's coming in, or somebody else. I think it's
Do you think
not a
it's,
necessary intersection, I think that straight to the garage should be straight to the garage, and not be able to go through the bank area.
what do
One of the
you
things we could
think
do
about
too-
this, Bruce, is you come up with we come up with some differentiator from the buildings to that first to the first island.
Okay, what now?
Come from here to
And
the
just
first
keep the
island.
backside
and
open.
keep this side open to
There
where
we
it's
go.
through. And then this way we bring in, because
Right,
your
there
idea
you
of
go.
putting a sidewalk,
Right.
you bring a sidewalk out this far
Just
because
so that north end of that parking lot cannot
I see.
zoom
So-
out, they have to
people can't
turn
go
south.
through here.
So
This motion, you want them to be
Yeah,
going
you
through
could
the
almost take
drive-through.
something straight out, and then this would actually direct them directly into the drive-through.
Yeah, then you curb and, yeah,
So in other words,
the drive-through would all be
Just on
right
Mill.
here.
so
That'd
right
be-
here, this would not be able to go out this way then.
Yeah, he's saying,
This
so if
comes
we
here.
took
Bring-
this.
bring
Because this
curb
is a
down as
crucial
far
point
as
right
that.
here,
Up
so they
and
know
then
that they
there.
gotta slow down. None of this.
I don't know though, that'll take down their parking lot spaces.
One of
I don't know
the
if they'll be down
things-
with that.
One of the things I was thinking a little bit is you just look at the shape, and we got to double check whether we own it. The property line is in here somewhere. It's who owns the what in here, but one of the things you could do here is maybe this naturally sort of creates like a landing where you could put a bench or maybe
could
like a
be.
flagpole or something like that, where you put in something that's a barrier, like he's saying now, where you don't want to drive through. But at least it's like a receiving
so
area for
obvious,
people to
yeah.
walk up and then go
Well, same
in,
thing
you
with
know?
this triangle's kind of wasted, and you don't, that could be a little point of a green area, like you say, that's obvious, and that could also be, and like you say, and this would have a green area, no.
Would that work for you then? If as long as there's so in other words, if Thad and his guys figured out a way to have some sort of barrier, at least
So
for
you
this
can't,
lane,
so you
go
can't
all the
make
way
this
through.
a straight through, that just
This
doesn't-
would be a straight through.
Yeah, that would be acceptable, because this is where the caution might be, and with vehicles, we're just seeing it flat.
Yeah.
There's a big vehicle here, and I'm heading here, and here comes somebody it doesn't look good. I mean, we all drive,
that. And then with
No, it can
the other
go.
thing that you guys had brought up was the curbing. Now, would we need to plow stuff into that center area at all? Would it even be big
The
enough
snow
to?
would have to go somewhere.
You'd have to go to the fairgrounds
you'd
kind of
I
thing.
think you'd plow it into the,
Just pile it
push
up
it
in the
into
center.
there. But the problem is when you plow that during the winter at night, are their cars all gone or are they still there? Some.
Well, they're not supposed to park overnight, but the big thing is, we plow snow and usually we pile it
Right
up
there.
until there's too much and then we haul it out. So I mean, there's snow that sits somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could still find a spot.
Well, there's
Just
still
maybe
plenty of
use some of
parking on
those or
that,
whatever.
on either side.
Because I mean,
of
if
the
you're
green
putting
space.
shrubbery or whatever there, you probably don't want to pile
Right.
a couple 1,000 pounds of snow
With all
on
the
top of
salt
it.
and all that stuff that's
Yeah.
out there too.
See, the other thing you could do too is, is we had that handicap parking space right here.
Mm-hmm.
You could move that to this stall if you don't feel it's too far away. And then you could take a portion of the bank's property and take a portion of your property and square that off and make that a bigger green space area. And then you could potentially take this and get rid of that pavement and bring everybody through here and then put a sidewalk, to that door
Yep.
and then make all this green.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And then you've got an area there where, like you said, flagpole. You could, the other thing I know it costs more money, but you could put up a small pavilion with a picnic table, concrete pad with a picnic table on it with
Yeah,
just
for
a
people downtown to
steel
have
beam,
lunch outside
a
or
8x8 shelter type.
Future thought, right?
You could put in just a small pavilion there. People want to eat lunch underneath the, you have farmer's market, there's a place for that. We don't have electric to that, we have it out here, but I think we can always,
Well, even if it's one of those concrete tables with an umbrella like at Culver's where they don't go anywhere kind of a thing,
Yeah.
So just something could.
Yeah.
I like the idea of what you said with expanding that green space and making it though.
And having a little cover wouldn't be bad because if we do have something down there in the parking lot, it'd be good for a place for kids
now
to
the
get
other
covered.
thing, not that you maybe find someone in the community that willing to make a donation towards the pavilion.
Yeah, put their name on it kind of
Yeah.
thing, huh?
I mean, we talked about donations for rooms in the city hall. Now that, whatever they give is great, but that may be been a little bit too much or too high for someone to actually do. But here, this is maybe what can you throw in together with 8x8 posts and a I know there's kits out there that you can buy those.
Well, we just got the one whole
That's
thing
details.
redone for what,
I'd say
3,000
just allow
or
the
6,000 or
just
whatever
allow
it
the
was.
amount of space that you can, right?
Where is the American flagpole gonna go with the new city hall?
Originally, we had it sitting closer to the. We got it sitting closer to the building. In that green space, we had a couple of bushes and a a flagpole there, I think is what that logo.
The squirrely line is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's still holding true?
At this point in time, we're gonna put a flagpole somewhere out there.
All right.
Well, make the allowances for, all that you just said, and then lay the details on whatever a person buys or whatever the city does there it'll happen. The details will work out.
I think the one thing we'll wanna know for sure is, as we talk to the bank, if the bank is on board with having some kind of a transition there, then that makes sense, but if they're not, and they wanna keep their parking lot the same way, then we probably would have to look at, do you curb and gutter it the rest of the way, or?
Yeah.
Cause you just don't wanna have people flying through if they were gonna.
Well,
keep
can
the
it just
parking
be a
spots.
raise where it's a sloped curb type thing?
Yeah,
Like at some of the restaurants, not a square.
Yeah, I guess
gutter.
if we gets down to that,
If the
and they don't
drainage
wanna
works.
change anything, I guess we
We'll
gotta
talk
be
to 'em,
clear
yeah.
too on what our property is, so we know what we're working with.
Yep.
How far
Well, the
back.
property
that
lines
goes.
are shown on here. They're underneath the edge of the asphalt to where it angles, and then you can see the dash lines, the long dash, short dash, long dash, that's the property lines. And they're offset at that open area.
Oh, so then does the bank actually own some of what we have
They're
proposed for the
offset right
parking
here.
lot then?
no, not on what we have colored there,
Okay.
but they've talked to us about, if we're willing to improve that gravelled area in between us.
Let me just,
So
let
they
me
might not
just,
even be open to it at this point, but
throw
We've
a,
talked to them. I think they're open to it because if there's anything that we would want to pay for improvements there, I think they're okay with that because they're not using the
I
gravel.
mean, probably the only thing we'd
you
have
know.
to do is maybe put signs up there, bank parking from set hour to set hour only,
Yeah.
or bank customers or something like that.
let
A lot
me,
of it's their employees that park back in there. Because
me
otherwise
just-
you got to get out and walk all around the front. And,
let me just draw something up just to give you a schematic. What we're looking at is until I know what we need to do to finish the design, I can't say, okay, here's what it's gonna be, and Patrick and I were talking about, okay, do we wanna put this project with another project in the city next summer, or just bid it, get it done, get it out on the streets, get quotes and bid it for sometime, May, June to get in there and get it done with. Have it ready before horse and buggy days and in the county fair, events going on downtown.
There you go, get an old buggy or something and put it there instead of something that acts, well,
How
I
about
tell
the
you what,
horse
if
on the
there's-
corner?
A trolley car might be a
The
good.
horse on the corner.
I think that just got taken out, I think.
Did it?
did it?
I think so.
Really?
All I know
I'll have to
is-
drive by now. on
All I know is I thought it was in much better shape until, we talked about that, and then I actually saw it, and then I'm like, oh, wow, yeah, nobody'd want that. It just wasn't
Let me just do a quick,
the shape
just
enough.
a real quick brief layout for you, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Okay.
I've got your ideas, if everybody's on board with that.
Yeah, I think what we talked about was good.
Next item, that's a discussion on the CIP, and with all these projects going on, we had a brief discussion today. Thad and I are getting together on Friday again to go through it again, so we'll come back in December with a plan on projects. This parking lot and everything else we got going with City Hall, and that is obviously a big part of the CIP, so.
Do you want me to try and have a drawing done for council for Monday?
Yeah.
Then we can continue for the December Public Works?
If you're able to, yeah, and we can
Just
just at
see-
least run it by them.
I'm just
Yeah, I
gonna
think
draw, it's gonna be a schematic, just saying, here's kind of what I thought I heard.
Yeah, and then at this point, we still need to get
It's not
buy-off
gonna
from the
be
bank,
on a
but
napkin or anything, is it?
No, it'd be a little bit better than that.
Okay.
I tell you, the better, you're making it look like you're saying, the more the bank's gonna like it too, because right now people.
Well, you
not
gotta,
that-
you gotta
That's
sell
gravel
that.
right
totally gonna draw people but they'll feel good
Yeah.
coming in there instead of running over a gravel spot and all that.
Yeah. I think
It'll feel good.
part of why it's still gravel is because if you had a curb, a lot of people would run over it too there on their parking lot, and because it's gravel, you run over it,
yeah.
but then you push gravel around when you plow, and it's just.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
take care of that.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, where are we at? Was that?
we skipped through the CIP.
Right. We're on number 6.
Number 5.
Oh,
yeah.
5, oh.
Is this part of yours yet?
This will actually go to me. So now number 5.
Discussion and possible action on final invoice for East Alfred Street.
Yep, so the county, obviously this spring came back and did that final layer with paving on East Alfred. And we had the cost share with them where they paid 60% of the road, we had the 40%. The final bill on paving is $56,521.77, and again, our share is 40%. So this would be the final payment to Weyauwega County for the road work on East Alfred Street.
Okay.
So it would be a $22,608.71 bill.
Nope, yeah, nothing's changed, that's what it was to begin with, and
Right.
We just need a motion then to
Recommend approval.
recommend
Yeah.
approval of the final invoice for East Alfred Street project.
Yep.
All right, I'll make that motion.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Moving along to number 6 on the agenda, discussion and possible action on John Deere 1025R lease from Caroline Implement.
This is that smaller tractor that we had leased last year with the broom, with snow plow. The minimum charge for 4 months is listed there,
Yeah, it's got the,
and it's
$3,400.
$23 an hour, and it ends up being $34.50. We have the attachments from last year that we bought for like the fabric cab and that. At the end of last year, we didn't decide to look at buying this unit. Now, if we bought it, it would be somewhere $18,000 to $20,000. They have a deal again where if you rent it and decide you'd like to buy it, they'll give you 100% credit on your lease payment towards a purchase. This is a thing that worked out very well last year. It actually worked out too well for us because when we got it, we talked about when we go out and clean off other people's sidewalks, we're supposed to charge for that effort, and we used to charge quite a bit when we used to send a guy that just shoveled it or snow blowed it.
yep.
And with this, that one day, I think we averaged on 45 properties, it was like 45 seconds of property. And so we thought, well, how do you bill for 45 seconds of your time in the machine? And so that's one of the things that we're going to take a look at. But again, it worked very
know
well.
Last
where-
year we had talked about, though, that, I think whatever the set rate was of $100 or something like that,
Well,
that was
pretty
probably
high, way
too
out of
high.
And that was what, for 45 seconds of work.
But then we
on
had
$100
talked about that,
charges,
we
so-
wanted to make sure that it was enough where it wakes people up to say, hey, take care of it.
Yeah, but that's-
Not enough, not a.
No matter how you slice
crazy
it, that'd
amount.
be overdoing it.
Yeah,
Way
it's
overdoing
very,
it.
I think we discussed like 25 or $30 or something like that. So
yeah.
in other words, it was like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along those lines.
Yeah, and so we took it out of the snow plowing budget, and this year we've budgeted for 2015 $50,000, and it's always a little bit goofy with snow plowing because you always catch the last half in each budget year. You get the last half of winter, and then the first half of the next winter. So you never. Hopefully, it evens out over the years, but for this last half, we spent $21,000. What that means is we have $28,000 left in the budget
For
until December 31st of this year. And then we propose 50,000 again for
Yeah,
snow
wait.
plowing, so it's
The way it looks so far, we might have some leftover.
looking pretty good, and you have that $28,000 to $29,000 left. Of that, what we'd like to do is be able to lease this tractor again. You know, we're not buying it, but it's a brand new machine that comes into town. We clean everything up, clean up downtown pretty good. We catch our own stuff too with the bridge and all that. It's a lot better than snow blowing.
it's cost effective all the way around. You can't lose with that lease deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we knew we were gonna lease for 10 years or something like that, then you might wanna take a look at maybe buying one, but right now, for what we use it for, it
It works.
pretty good. So we would ask if you're
Make a-
agreeable to that, to make a recommendation on approving that lease again for this
Make a
season.
motion to approve the lease for the John Deere tractor
It's, yeah, the 1025R.
1025R.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is closed session. Pursuant to 19.851C Wisconsin statutes, consideration of employment, promotion, compensation, and performance evaluation data of any city employee who is subject to the jurisdiction of or authority of the council. The reason for the closed session is to review public works wages for 2016 budget and community operations supervisor position. The committee may choose to reconvene in open session at the completion of the closed session in order to take action on items from the closed session. Need a roll call?
You gotta read the next one too, and just do both then.
Yeah, the next one then, it's pursuant to 1985 1E. Deliberating, negotiating, purchase of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. And the reason for this one is to discuss ongoing negotiations regarding wastewater industrial service agreements and rates. Committee will reconvene in open session at the end. How's that?
Good. I'll make a motion, we go into closed session.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
We'll do the
We
roll
need a
call.
roll
So,
call.
yep, Brunner,
Aye.
Nadowski,
Aye.
and Rasmussen.
Aye.
6:18.
Okay.
Be back in open session. It's now, motion was at 6:30, it's 6:30. I'll just take the lead. The next item then is just the review of 2016 general budget and wages. You have a copy of the budget. It's a summary of the budget. It's 4 pages in your packet. As we talk about wages, one of the things we talked about last month and this month in closed session was wages for public works. And what we're looking at with their pay scale, considering that the 3 that we have on staff all had just bumped up their certifications this last summer. All 3 of them got raises. So what we're proposing is a no raise on their base rate. So the base rate for public works is still going to be $17.51. According to their water and sewer licenses, they can get 25 cents, 30 cents bumps that way. Because all 3 of them have just gotten raises, we are not going to modify that starting rate. So just so we know for that. When we look at the budget, just a real quick run through, you look at the first page. The colored sections are highlighted areas for me to bring up when we come through the specific committees. Public Works is 2/3 of the way down, maybe 3/4 of the way down.
Which one of the pages?
It's on page 1, so we're looking at agenda
You don't
item
have
9.
You don't
page-
have another one of those.
page
do you?
1.
'Cause none of that package is, or maybe I'm,
Oh, it's not coming through?
no, it says whoops kind of thing. It says whoops, it's not working.
And I can run down just the differences too.
Public Works.
So the green are items that probably haven't changed, or they're minor changes. The different ones that are purple or orange or tan.
Yeah.
The first one we run into is the laborer.
Street labor.
Now the last 3 to 4 years, because we haven't had a supervisor, all 4 positions have been coming out of the street laborer position. So in this last budget, we had $46,000. This year, we're identifying a supervisor, we're going to hire a supervisor, and that will be its own separate line item. Out of the supervisor costs, $19,000 is projected to come out of the general budget. The remainder then would be water or sewer. So that's salary benefits.
Basic change.
Yep. And so what we're looking at then is you take those 2 tanned numbers and it comes to $49,000. And essentially, it's the difference in taking a laborer up to a supervisor.
Yep.
At a salaried level. So 46,000 we had in 2015, 49,000, and that includes benefits
Okay.
for 2016. We look down, this isn't related to the budget, but there's a darker orange under street maintenance. It's under 2015 year to date. We budget $10,000 for street maintenance. We spent $13,327, so we went over a little bit. But 2 years ago, you'll see in 2014 we spent $5,000.
No.
And the difference there is we didn't do any crack sealing in 2014, but we did 2 years, we caught it up in 2015.
Okay.
So in 14 we were $5,000 under budget. In 15 so far we've run $3,000 over. And again, we did 2 years of crack sealing. The county came through and just did 2 years worth. So, but we're still looking at, $10,000 is adequate for that line item. And you had a question?
No, I was just thinking, but you answered it with the crack ceiling. I was curious what it was for and whether
Yep.
that project that we had, the sinkhole or whatever that we had to fix, if that came out of that too.
The sinkhole. We've had like 4 of them now. Sorry.
I was
Oh, up
thinking
on Mill?
Yeah, the one that was just up the street here. I think it was up like 2 blocks.
Yeah, that would have come out of there too.
Okay.
Yeah, it came out, what we would have had done there is Fox Brothers comes in and does cutting, saw cutting, and then we hired New London Asphalt to come through and do the asphalt patch there. So yeah, that comes under regular street maintenance too.
Okay.
At the very bottom of page number 1, you'll see recycling. It looks like a drop in recycling from 25,000 in 15 to 19,000 in 16. And as far as the budget's concerned, it is a drop. But what I can tell you is this time last year, we had quotes in hand for garbage and recycling, but you hadn't yet decided who or how often we were going to do it. We had budgeted a worst case scenario for every other week recycling. And every other week recycling with all the haulers would have been about 25 grand. Because we went to a monthly, it was 19,000, 18,000 or so. When Harder's has made their proposal to go to every other week recycling, they said they weren't going to raise the rates.
Right.
And what you can do there is you can look at that $6,000 savings. Essentially, that's how much we're saving because Harder's is not charging us extra.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Then we can go to the second page.
Can we supersize this?
I'm sure there's a way.
Like right here.
Oh. Never knew that.
So at the very top, we're looking at the yard waste site. Now we've budgeted since 2013. 2013 is really the year that we got audited. The DNR said, "Here's how you need to conduct your business here." You'll see from 2013 we budgeted $6 grand. 2014 was the first year of enhanced operation. We put in 10 grand. 2015's budget's 11 grand, but you'll notice that we've spent 12 to 15,000. A lot of the problems we're running into is now that we've opened this up every day, all day, we get a lot of material in there, and then we've had to pay to get this chipped up to get rid of it 2 to 3 times. Now, along the way, we've had a couple companies. One of them was in New London. They had told us that for $500, they would come and do some chipping and haul it away for the material. But the problem is they called right after we had it done 2 years ago. And then when it came time to get some chipping done, you couldn't get a hold of them at all. So that's not great. And every time we've done chipping, it's run about $6 grand. Because somebody comes in with the big machine, they haul it all away. Six grand. When we do that twice, you'll see that's 10 to 12 grand. One of the companies, I believe I talked to the mayor about, it's Kafka out of Merrill, is actually looking for municipalities that would give them this kind of material to chip because they sell it to the biofuel. I forget what it all said. I don't think they specified exactly what it is, but they said it's a biofuel plant. These guys had said that if you have enough material, they'll come, chip it for nothing, and take it away. Now that would be outstanding, and it would probably save us 6 to 10 grand a year. But a couple years ago, we had somebody that said they'd do it for 500, and then we couldn't
Yeah,
close
but
the
this
deal.
This place is
Well, I would
more
say
reputable
investigate.
or more.
Oh, we don't know.
I would investigate.
We don't know. Yeah, we've talked to them, and they've said they'll come, and the problem is they can't tell you how much is enough
Enough, yeah.
and how much isn't enough, and they'd have to come out here and take a look.
Yeah.
This was just
Didn't we
within the
talk
last
about
week or
these
two.
guys a while back? This sounds familiar.
It's a different this is a different company. There's a company in Appleton that would
something green.
charge you $300 an hour, which is a good rate, and then give you a rebate because they do the same type of business where they sell their material. They'd give you a rebate of
Based on
100
the
something
volume.
an hour or something like that. Yeah. But even at that, you'd still be paying up front and then you'd be waiting for a rebate check. On this one, what these guys are proposing is that they'll come for nothing. Having said that, we probably do need to upgrade the budget up to about 15,000 because we've had it open. We're getting a lot of stuff in there, and it's just been more effort to keep it going.
Yep.
So, one of the other things we're going to look at too is when we set rates and fees for next year. What I'd like to do is consider the yard waste pass. So you buy a sticker to go out there.
Right.
In the past, we've had people pay $1, but when you don't have somebody working out there, you don't have anybody checking it either, whether they have
Where
a
are we at
pass or
with the
not.
camera system. I know we talked about it.
We're talking about it, we'll talk offline a little bit about, we've been working at angling that. How can we get a vehicle, where can the camera be to get somebody and check their passes? We're looking at that yet. But the yard waste site's probably gonna close in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So we're aiming to figure out that layout to get a good camera in there, but we're also gonna be closing it pretty soon too.
So then before spring, when it opens up,
Yeah.
we have a solution?
Yeah, we have the camera's
Okay.
about $150. We have
Oh.
the type of camera and everything, it's just a matter of getting it set up. But one of the things I'd like to look at is, because we're spending 15 grand to get rid of this stuff, and we've only charged $1 a pass
Oh,
in the past, you know, it
It's,
might not be the worst thing to look at, maybe $4 or $5 a pass.
You just say 5, because it'd be easy.
Yeah.
5 or 10, something.
Right.
Minimum, still a deal with that.
I think people would still use it for that price, because it's still reasonable.
Right. Right. And when you have the camera system, you're able to catch or track people that don't
You
live in the city or don't.
Because you'd have to have one for the sticker and one for the plate.
We're working on that too.
Okay.
That'll be, yeah, there's
Depends how you do
there's
it,
a
yeah.
solution for that. It's just,
Yeah.
you gotta get your camera angle right
Okay.
where you're gonna put it on the car, so. But we're looking into that too. The only other item that changes with Public Works then is the garbage collection. And we've set 2% in there because our contract with Harder says that we would have a CPI increase, but it would be no more than 3%. Roughly, we put down 2%. Other than that, there are no other changes on Public Works. Revenues, one of the things we'd be looking at is that fee, that fee that we charge for stickers.
Mhm.
That would probably be the one strictly Public Works revenue that we'd be looking at changing. But other than that, we're looking at a general fund expense for Public Works of $281,825, which is up $300 from this last budget, so it's up 0.1%, which is pretty reasonable, I think. It's because of the recycling change. $6,000 savings helps us out. So with that, what I'd probably ask you to do is vote on making a recommendation to approve the Public Works portion of the general fund budget. And then if you have a recommendation on not raising the base rate for Public Works. If we put it out, the trouble is, all these committees make differing motions, and then we try to put them all on the city council next week, but really what we're doing is we're just looking at the whole budget next week, and looking at wages too. So it's up to you, at minimum, we'd need a recommendation to approve the Public Works budget. If you wanna add something about,
I mean, if we do that, we're already approving the 0%, right?
you're recommending approval of
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Would you like to do that, Keith?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the Public Works budget for 2016.
That other addition onto that, you said?
I can put it on there, and there'll be a 0% increase in wages due to recent wage increases due to merit.
Yeah, it was on the base rate, so there's
Yeah,
no increase on the base
base
rate.
rate.
Yep.
There we go. We're in agreement, yes.
I'll second.
Okay. Is that that's not a roll call or anything, is it?
Nope.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay,
We have, we're on number 10 on the agenda, administrator report.
just a couple of quick things. Again, we've got the construction projects that are going. We've had PLC water jetting in the last week and a half, and what they're doing is they're cutting roots through the sewers. They're cleaning them. We thought we could get by with jetting and cleaning, and they would suck out the sewers. But what we ran into is 2 years ago, they did the same route and they cut roots. And what they kind of told us was, every 2 years, roots really start to come back in. But what we're finding is 2 years later, roots have really come back in the areas that we had them cut. But we have an identified list of problem areas where when we jet, we run into a snag or there's roots or whatever. And we've had them in the last week and a half here, cutting roots. We've also had them in with the televising camera. So once they cut, they come back through and they take their camera down the sewers. We get to check out the integrity of the sewer. We found some interesting leaks. We found a manhole that didn't have a bottom anymore. And we found some things that'll help us out with maintenance. Actually today, we had just found, there was a house in town where it looked like there was a waterfall coming into the sewer main. We couldn't figure out what was going on, and later in the day, Thad and I had saw that they were home, and we stopped at the house, and when they opened the door, we heard a leak in the basement, like a huge leak. And so through that, there was a lot of water flowing, and the homeowner had said it had been flowing for about 1.5 years. But when we looked, and I've got video on my phone, but it was, when they run the sewer camera down, you can see when somebody flushes the toilet, there'll be a little bit that comes out. On this one, it was like the full river flowing into the sewer. So, and it ended up being a leak in front of the water meter, so they weren't getting billed. It wasn't going through the meter. Usually when somebody ends up getting billed a lot, that's when they call and we find out. Well, in this case, it's been 1.5 years. But, you run into things like that, which are pretty good. And then, if people have sewer lateral issues, which one of the items I'll mention is at the Presbyterian Church, and we've had Frank and
Yep, at the pastor's house or whatever it is.
yeah, so right where the manse is, their sewer doesn't go to Pine, but it comes into the road on Pine, and then it heads back out to the east. We went through there. There was roots in there on our main that we had cut. We've got it all cleaned out, and then we ran a camera down there too. And the problem we ran into was the camera went up to the lateral for the manse, and when it went to try to get in, it saw there's kind of like a jumbled maze. It's not a straight line. It's kind of, there's a couple hikes, and there's a ton of roots coming out of it. So at least that's something that I called Frank and said, just so you know, we cleaned the main. We've got, we cameraed it out. It all looks good. But when we looked in the lateral there, it's
Not good.
not great either. So it's at least something that when we run into those issues, usually we let homeowners know. The water leak we saw today, we see roots or whatever. It's a good thing. So
Okay,
that's about all I got for Public Works.
how about setting our committee meeting for December?
One of the comments I would have, or one of the requests I would have is, we talked about not having joint meetings, but because we have the 2 construction projects going, City Hall goes to Finance and the treatment plant comes to Public Works. If we don't meet on the same night, it might be nice to have somebody from Cedar at the Finance meeting. And I talked a little bit to Thad about potentially having these meetings back to back, at least till like next May. If it's up to, it's up to you guys, but it might be helpful because then we have Thad here for
I'm
questions
of course
on.
fine with it, and I'm sure Scott
on
is, because
both.
we're both here anyways.
Sure.
Um,
It's not a problem.
I don't know that we need
For
to
me.
have joint meetings, it's up to you guys. I think, if you could keep it on the same night, it helps. And we've got,
Yeah, I don't
Everybody here.
know that they need to be joint, just because I don't think any of them tied together, and that's kind of one of the discussion points
Yep.
that we had.
yep,
But, yeah, I'd be fine with it,
and
Bruce-
usually
Bruce,
what
you like
we've
the
had
earlier
then,
one?
we've had Public Works on the second Monday, and the schedules for these pay requests are set up based on when the committee meets. City Hall, if you back it up, the City Hall project goes to Finance, but if you back up Finance a week to that second Monday, you don't really impact the schedule because Immel still has deadlines. But with Myron, if you would move Public Works up to the first Monday, you're technically moving it up and shortening their deadline, and, so it might be a good idea to have them both on that second Monday.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Finance, and you have the 3 of you here, but we'll talk about that at the next meeting too.
Whatever makes sense.
But otherwise, we've had, Public Works is that second Monday. And do you probably want to have them Public Works first?
Yeah, we'll do that first, because I know Mike usually needs a little bit more time to be able to get here, so,
Okay.
as long as you're okay with it, Bruce.
And same time we're talking, 5:30 for public works?
Yeah, if you'd like to, that would be fine.
That's fine, could start early.
And then, that second Monday would
December
be the
14th.
14th.
Okay.
Okay. And I think we could have a motion to
Make a
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's 6:49.